to call the meeting to order. Please, this is our public board meeting. And before we get to the formal agenda, I want to remind trustees that they need to sign the trustee code of conduct and return that to Melissa. You've got that in your board package, as well as the committee preferences sheet. So if you could please do that tonight, that would be appreciated. And with that, I'd like to invite Vice Chair Nelson to give the acknowledgement of traditional lands and water.
Thank you. We acknowledge that we are on land and surrounded by water, originally inhabited by Indigenous people who have traveled this area since time immemorial. This territory is within the lands honored by the Wampum Treaties, agreements between the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, Lenape, and all nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Specifically, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the Huron-Wendat peoples and the Three Fires Confederacy, Ojibwe, Ottawa, Potawatomi. We dedicate to honoring Indigenous history and culture while remaining committed to moving forward respectfully with all First Nations, Innu, and Métis.
Thank you very much. With regard to attendance, all trustees are present tonight. We have no special orders of the day, and we're at item E, approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. I need a motion, please. Trustee McCowie and Trustee Nelson, all those in support? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. I need a motion to convene into private session. Trustee McCowie, Trustee Nelson, all those in support? That's carried. Thank you very much. We will probably be until 7 o'clock. Okay? Thank you very much. Welcome back. We're going to continue our meeting at item H. It is that we are going to rise and report from our special committee of the whole closed session, and I believe Trustee Nelson has a motion.
Yes, I'd like to move item G, a matter of personnel.
We have a seconder, Trustee Buckler. All those in support? That's carried. Thank you. Approval of the minutes from the meeting of October 21st. Do I have someone to move? Trustee Nelson, Trustee Cook. Any errors, amendments? Nope. Okay. All those in support of the minutes? That's carried. Thank you. Our student trustees report. Okay, Ruby.
Good evening, trustees, Director Houston, senior administration, and members of the public. The month of November was certainly our busiest yet, from school visits to student senate initiatives, from OSTA to SLC. We have truly seen our work come to life in these past few weeks, and we're excited to share it all with you. We continued visiting schools, and this month I had the opportunity to visit Eastview Horizon Public School with Trustee McKinley for Local Government Week. We got to speak with younger students about our roles and the importance of trustees in our community, which was an incredibly fulfilling discussion with these students as they were curious and asked insightful questions. Soon after, our Student Leadership Conference was in full swing as we put our finishing touches on the event plan and gathered on November 6th at the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 594 in Tecumseh, with over 200 student council members and other student leaders. The day was full of constructive sessions to build skills and also games and activities to help our leaders connect their schools and bring creative ideas and school spirit to life. One of the most impactful parts of the day was our student speaker section, where we had several student senators deliver speeches on topics such as dealing with burnout, the importance of prioritizing mental health in education, and support systems. We are also grateful to hear from Director Houston in her visit to SLC. Overall, the conference was a great success, and we want to thank all of our student senators for their vital contributions in both the planning stages and on the day. We also must, of course, thank Michelle Marcus, who without fail supported us and ensured the smooth running of the event throughout the entire process. We hosted our November Student Senate meeting last Wednesday at Kennedy Collegiate Institute, where we welcomed both our regular and some first-time senators for professional development, connection, and fun. This month's PD workshop topic was project development, and our senators had a chance to plan a potential passion project to work on personally or in their schools. We went through planning stages, examples, and brainstormed as a group. We hope the workshop will inspire creative and impactful projects for our senators. Speaking of, I want to highlight a project the Sandwich Secondary School robotics team is working on. They've partnered with WETRA, the Windsor Essex Therapeutic Riding Association, to donate sawdust from tech classrooms and repurpose it as horse bedding. They've reached out to our senators who are all taking action to contact their own tech and woodshop classes and support the cause for our environment. During our news sharing segment, we shared current events and discussed equity, community outreach, and student council and arts initiatives. Our Senator of the Month was Mitchell Stein from Tecumseh Vista Academy, recognized for his dedication, creativity, and school spirit. He stood out and was a huge help at our SLC and consistently contributes innovative ideas at Student Senate meetings. This past weekend, Cole and I traveled to Toronto to attend OSTA-ACO's Fall General Meeting. We enjoyed professional development in the form of keynote speakers and workshops about trustee information, professionalism and resume building, advocacy, and more. One of our sessions welcomed representatives from OPSPA, President Kathleen Woodcock, Executive Director Stephanie Donaldson, and Director of Policy Jennifer McIntyre. They spoke to us about their roles and their work to improve and promote the future of public education and school board trustees, and followed the presentation with an open discussion, which was personally one of my favorite parts of the conference. We had a chance to touch on Bill 33, which OSTA-ACO has also made a statement on. I'll read the statement posted on November 3rd. Many students have expressed clear concern that the policies in Bill 33, Supporting Children and Students Act 2025, will not enhance the student experience or pathways to success. As Minister Calandra stated, students deserve every chance to succeed, and with the implementation of Bill 33, those chances for success could be limited. The Ontario Student Trustees Association makes the following requests. 1. Meeting with Minister Paul Calandra. We request a meeting with the Minister of Education, Paul Calandra, to provide a first-hand student perspective on the potential impacts of Bill 33. 2. Reconsideration or amendment of Bill 33. We urge all House leaders and members of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario to reconsider and amend Bill 33 in its current form to allow greater student input and discussion. OSTA-ACO President Carter Payos has also made a statement on behalf of the organization. It and other information can be found online, or you can contact Cole or I with any questions. As Vice Chair Associate of the Public Education Cabinet at OSTA, I had the opportunity to assist the operations of our PEIG sessions at the conference. I was also featured as a guest speaker during the Friday workshop given by Possibility Seeds and their High School 2 project, which I'm a part of. We had inspiring discussions about consent culture in education and started building more tools to implement in high schools to improve consent culture and gender-based violence awareness. It's always inspiring to connect with other student trustees across the province, and we both greatly enjoyed the weekend away in Toronto, which was both productive and very fun. Thank you to Director Houston for your support and our attendance at the conference. We thank everyone again for their support throughout the month and look forward to seeing what December brings. Thank you.
Thank you. You're right. It was a busy month. Okay, cool.
So the student of the month for November is Leland Champagne, a grade 12 student at Riverside Secondary School. Leland is an outstanding role model for this month's theme of student spirit. Leland demonstrates his school pride and his love for being a Stinger by immersing himself in school life. Leland has been the biggest fundraiser for Riverside's annual fun run for 4 years in a row, taking it upon himself to go door to door seeking donations for the Kidney Foundation. This year he raised an amazing $875. Leland never misses an opportunity to stand out from the crowd while supporting school activities. He was a star contestant at Riverside's talent show, performing a song and dance in character, an act that he clearly put his body, heart, and soul into. At senior sunrise, Leland arrived in his robe and pajamas, perfectly matching the theme. For Halloween this year, he carefully crafted a homemade 3D alien xenomorph costume. Leland has attended the invitation-only Ontario Student Leadership Conference for the past 3 years, representing Riverside by proudly gearing up in black and gold. Leland's enthusiasm has definitely contributed towards Riverside's being named OSLC's most spirited school in Ontario for the last 2 years in a row. Congratulations to Leland for being selected by Student Senate as the November Student of the Month for School Spirit.
Do you have family here? They might want to come up front and take pictures. Welcome to come up. Congratulations from all the trustees. And you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting or not. But thank you for coming tonight. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Good night. Item K is the chair's report, and I do have a short one for you tonight. I wanted to point out that this week is Bullying Awareness and Prevention Week, and this week helps to promote safe schools and a positive learning environment for all students. Everyone, students, staff, and parents are encouraged to learn more about bullying, including the impact of cyberbullying, which is certainly a great concern in this day and age, and the effects on student learning and well-being. Bullying Awareness and Prevention Week enables our schools to promote positive change to ensure a safer learning environment, which is, we know, absolutely essential for student success. In addition to this opportunity to promote and increase awareness, it's also a time for everyone to become more aware of the tools and resources that are available at our schools to manage and prevent bullying. Second, there was some correspondence that came through to trustees. I don't know if everybody's read them, but I wanted to highlight the communication that came from the minister with regard to student and family support offices. I'm not sure if you're all aware, but there's a new initiative from the ministry to provide what they see as better service to parents and school boards. So they've established a student and family support office, and it will be implemented first in the 5 school boards that are under supervision. And those offices will be starting January 19th in the new year, 2026. And then all other boards are expected to submit a report by March 31st outlining how they will establish an office by September 1st of 2026. So this is something new that will be coming into effect for our school board. Then there was another memo that came through from the Supply Ontario office notifying school boards that effective immediately, Supply Ontario is exercising its authority to require all school boards to use Supply Ontario's end user computing vendors, so that this may impact us. I'm pretty sure I've seen in previous reports that we have contracts with vendors on purchasing computers and other things that go along with the computers. I'm not sure what the impact is going to be, but I know those contracts have already been negotiated on behalf of our school board. So I was just going to ask, if I may, if Superintendent Armstrong is yet aware of how this may impact us, because it's effective immediately.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. We probably have as much information as everybody else in this room has with respect to it. But our understanding is that the acquisition of any, when we say computing devices, that's laptops, computers, that sort of item, we have to procure through a vendor that's been, is approved by the OECM. So anything that we negotiated elsewhere prior to this ruling, we are now obligated to end those contracts. We've been told school boards should not be paying penalties for ending contracts. I don't know what that looks like yet. So we're in the process of evaluating that at this time.
Thank you. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the Supply Ontario vendors will be giving us a better price than what we've already negotiated. So there's no offer to match what we've already negotiated, and it may cost us money, as you said, to get out of the contracts. Trustee Burgess?
Thanks, Madam Chair. You've half answered it. So my question would be, if we are breaking contracts, if there's an expectation from the province to that boards may be breaking contracts, is there any hint in any of the memo or anything that there's money going along with that in order to break the contracts, let alone engaging in more expensive contracts?
There's,
Was there consultation at all about this? Because it seems to me, as far as the superintendents of business or COSBO or anybody, it seems to me it just fell from the sky.
yes, it came out November 12th and was effective immediately.
So, okay. It would be nice to hear like a report on how that affects us and maybe do something at Finance and Facility Services Committee, something like that, so that we kind of know what the fallout is so that we can tell
Thank you.
OPSA, tell them, whatever.
And that ends my report. So we'll move on now to the director's report, please.
So welcome to the November 2025 edition of Inside Education. And as we move further into the school year and the holiday season begins to approach, a meaningful time to reflect on the progress being made across our board. And we're very proud of the continued efforts and care shown each day. We look ahead with appreciation for the work already accomplished and optimism for what's still to come. And just quickly touch on the students going to Toronto for Asta Ego. So Michelle always puts it in my calendar as a reminder that they're gone away. And it brings me back to my days as a principal when you'd have students going overnight and the panic from the moment they left until you know they're home safe. So glad that both Ruby and Cole are back home safe after their weekend away. I did think about you to make sure that you were going to be safe coming back home. So even though it was the weekend, I was still thinking and worried about you. With that, I had the opportunity to attend the Student Leadership Conference. Grateful to be part of this year. We had, as Ruby mentioned, more than 200 secondary student council members came together to build a stronger connection with one another and deepen the sense of unity across all of our secondary schools. And congratulations to both Student Trustee Rivington and Student Trustee Foster for the dedication and the hard work in planning a meaningful event with their peers. As Student Trustee Rivington said, I was fortunate enough to go and spend some time with them. Again, reminded me of being a high school principal and how loud secondary students can be, that my watch actually went off with an alarm of how loud the environment was, but it was worth every bit of it. And I have asked Michelle Marcus to collect the speeches that the student leadership group gave. I was so inspired. I was beyond inspired of what the students shared in terms of their own leadership journeys. Some of them were so humble and some of them were so personal. I think that we should actually have them probably go to the Chamber of Commerce and present to community leaders because the impact I know it had on me. I've shared with the senior team, would like to invite the students to come to share with us as well their input and ideas around what leadership should look like. Remembrance Day, so flags at all of our schools and workplaces were lowered to half-mast to honor Indigenous Veterans Day on November the 8th, as well as Remembrance Day on November the 11th. Many of our schools hosted ceremonies and took part in learning activities that highlighted the importance of remembering and thanking those who helped shape our nation and safeguarded the freedoms we enjoy. Students and staff from Northwood Elementary School joined AM 800 to share a very moving Remembrance Day poem and reflect on what the day means to them and how they honor it within their own school community. I've had the great pleasure of attending grade 8 classrooms for the last couple of weeks and had an opportunity to visit A.V. Graham, Forest Glade, Fort City, and Queen Victoria Public School. Enjoyed speaking to the students as we participated in an activity that was called Your High School Hopes and Fears and had them complete little cards to share what they're most fearful of and what they're most hopeful of as they transition into secondary school. They shared anonymously their hopes and their fears, and then together we discussed their submissions and addressed some of the concerns that they're worried about as they enter high school. Many students expressed very similar thoughts, which led us to some really meaningful experiences and conversations. I hope that the activity helped them feel more confident and more connected to their peers who may also be feeling the same way. And then tomorrow we do have our system principal meeting, so I am going to be sharing the themes that I heard from the grade 8s so that they can speak to the students about it, and then the secondary principals will know what some of the things that the students are worried about as they enter grade 9 to hopefully alleviate them. And I look forward to visiting more grade 8 classrooms. As you know, our current grade 8 students are attending our open houses across the district to hopefully identify which secondary school they plan to attend. Jack Miner and DM Eagle properties are both for sale, and they've been listed on the website, and offers for both of those properties will be accepted until 2 o'clock on November the 28th, and the website is there as well. This will be posted on the board website. Hack for the Holidays with John McGivney's Children's Center. This is the third one. An event took place at Bell River District High School on November the 10th and the 11th. It was an outstanding initiative that quickly becomes one of the most meaningful events of the year within the Greater Essex County District School Board. Students from Bell River, Leamington, Massey, and Kennedy came together to make Toys Switch accessible for children with disabilities that prevent them from using standard remote controls or buttons. Participating students shared that they were not only excited to learn a new skill, but also grateful that they had the opportunity to do something kind for others during the holiday season. As always, it was a heartwarming experience that will bring joy to many children and their families. Superintendent Mills, they shared at SEAC last week that some of the schools didn't get a chance to finish all of the switches, but the teachers and the students took them back to their schools to finish the project to be able to give them to the students. And John McGivney will be hosting Hack the Holidays on December 3rd. We encourage all of you to attend if you're available and have the families to be able to go, and each child will be able to select a free toy that was made Switch accessible for all of our students, and families can register up until November the 28th. And the registration link is shared both on our website and on our social media. We have a Special Olympics qualifier at WF Herman. The students from WF Herman Academy, Leamington District Secondary School, Westview Freedom Academy, and St. Anne's Catholic High School were thrilled to take part in Special Olympics Ontario soccer qualifiers on Tuesday, November the 3rd, that was hosted at Herman Academy. It was a crisp, sunny day, perfect for some friendly competition and spirited play. The winning team will move on to represent our region at the Special Olympics Ontario Championship in London on May 26th to the 28th. And congratulations to everybody who participated and to all the athletes for their teamwork, their sportsmanship, and all of the enthusiasm that they showed on the field. Serenity ESIP selected for Government of Canada's HSSIDIP, I'll get that before the end of the year, program. So Serenity is a grade 12 student at Vincent Massey Secondary School. She was a successful candidate for the Government of Canada High School Student with Intellectual Disabilities Integration Project. It's an exciting national training program, and it's open to students age 16 to 21 who have an intellectual disability or autism and are currently attending a Canadian high school and are eligible to work in Canada. Through her hard work and dedication, Serenity has demonstrated her ability to thrive independently in a workplace setting, and we, along with Serenity's teachers and support staff at Massey, are incredibly proud of her accomplishments and wish her continued success as she begins this exciting new chapter. Windsor's International Film Festival screening, with support from the Windsor International Film Festival and the Soltz Family Foundation. More than 500 students representing 13 of our secondary schools took part in a special screening of the documentary Folktales at the Chrysler Theatre on October 29th. The event offered students the chance to extend their learning beyond the school setting by exploring themes related to mental health and overall well-being. And a few Ministry of Education updates. They're currently requiring school boards to establish a student and family support office, as Chair Hatfield mentioned. We haven't received any further information about what that will look like, but we anticipate some will come soon. And then important dates for students and families. We have secondary parent-teacher interviews taking place tomorrow night. And then we have the Fall Ontario Secondary School Literacy Opportunity, and that period will end for students on December the 2nd of 2025. Happy to take any questions if anybody has them.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the director? No? Well, thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
A lot of people have been busy this past month. Next on the agenda is staff reports, but we don't have any for that. And now we turn to new business. The first item is the resignation of Trustee Armstrong. Before I ask for the motion, I just want to mention that, as I did with Ron LeClaire, I did reach out to Nancy Armstrong as well to confirm their intentions to resign from their position and make them aware that the resignation would be effective after the board motion is passed. So with that, I'm looking for someone to move the recommendation. Trustee Cook and Trustee Buckler, are there any questions? Trustee Burgess?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I hesitate, but I feel compelled to offer possibly an amendment. When I look in page 11 and see the written resignation, I note that there is a request to, or a statement saying I'm withdrawing from the restorative justice process and submitting my resignation effective Friday, November 7th. And while I support the approval of the resignation of Trustee Armstrong, I don't support the unresolved restorative justice practice that has arisen from and still remains despite her resignation. So I would like to amend it and say that the board approve the resignation of Trustee Armstrong effective November 18th, 2025, and re-engage the facilitation of restorative justice to mitigate unresolved sanctions that were cited with her. And I would speak to it if there's support.
I don't think that it's appropriate to put any kind of other business with regard to the acceptance of the resignation. If you want to submit a notice of motion with regard to the restorative justice, I think that would be the better route. The facilitator felt very strongly that because in our motion for restorative justice, it centered around Trustee Armstrong, and since Trustee Armstrong, after tonight, will no longer be a trustee, the feeling was that the process should not go forward. So I don't think that should be mixed into the acceptance of the resignation, but I think that if you want to pursue that, that should come forward as a separate item.
Madam Chair, I would appeal your opinion on that. And I would quote directly from the resignation. I was really hoping not to do that. It is unresolved, and you will note that in the sanctions given and in the letter that arose from the sanctions, that more than Trustee Armstrong and Trustee McKinley, all members of the board, and it was a process. The process can include the ripples of the waves of the hurt that was caused. And in the resignation, there's a refutation of that, of refuting it. It remains unresolved. So the board is disadvantaged by just merely accepting this resignation and also accepting the unfinished business. The board approved the sanctions, and the removal of the RJ process came from one individual and not before the board. So please let me appeal this so that the board can determine whether or not there's unfinished business with this resignation.
Trustee Cook?
I just have a question. That was Trustee Armstrong's letter. That was her words that she did not want to participate in restorative justice. I'm just wondering, how can we change, why are we going to change her words? She does not want to participate in the process, period. And to my knowledge, no one wanted to participate in the process. No one contacted thank you. No one contacted the facilitator. So, can we approve this and move on to what we were elected for? And that was student success.
So my ruling is that this motion can't be amended to add other business to it. So I would ask Trustee Nelson then, since Trustee Burgess is challenging my ruling,
Madam, I'm not challenging.
you would need to, well, it's the same thing as a challenge. So I've ruled that the amendment to the motion is not appropriate. Trustee McKinley?
Yeah, I guess a point of clarification, because Trustee Cook just stated that nobody had responded yet. Well, the problem was I was about to when an email came from you stating that it had been canceled. So it wasn't that I wasn't planning on being a part of that. And it was a board decision, so should it not
That's
be a
separate
board
business
decision? Right.
from
Could
the
we
resignation.
move that to the next agenda item?
So
to the
that could be
next meeting?
submitted as, we've already ended with the facilitator. So we would need a notice of motion, the way that Trustee Burgess has explained it. Because the original motion included Trustee Armstrong. So I've made a ruling. I think the only way you can appeal it is to challenge the chair. So I would ask Trustee Nelson to take a vote on upholding the ruling of the chair.
I have an opportunity to speak one last time.
You just did, but go ahead.
Who's in the chair? Madam Chair, thank you. On page 11, there is a resignation that I support accepting, of course. And in the process of submitting it, there's an opinion here that restorative justice process not only would be costly or maybe a waste of money, but also would be little more than a performance, is how it's mentioned. And I put it to you that the facilitator has been contacted. So I don't know how my colleague would know that nobody contacted. And it would have been simultaneously with getting the information that there was no other way for any kind of healing or mitigation of the harm that was brought onto the board. It was not a complainant and a responder. It was the board who brought forward the allegation for investigation. It was the board that accepted the findings. It was the board that meted out sanctions, including restorative justice, which included whether the person was there or not. You know, Madam Chair, when we have student discipline things, if the student doesn't show up, if the family doesn't show up or whatever, you can proceed with something in absentia. They don't have to have the person there. They've had an opportunity to present their side. We have testimony, and some of that testimony has been found to be false. There has to be an opportunity for the folks that, and the board who has suffered the damage, to have something mitigated by a third party arm's length. So the amendment, as I'm saying, Madam Chair, through you, is to re-engage the facilitation of restorative justice to mitigate unresolved sanctions cited. They're board sanctions. It's an arm's length facilitation. It's not internal. It would be the fair thing to do for those who are affected most grievously. And that includes the whole board, and the invitation should go out. And I want to correct the fact that there are people that are interested in proceeding to find that. So,
If I could speak to the amendment, please, or my ruling.
Yes, please.
You have to first accept the resignation. If you combine it with another action, you could essentially be defeating the resignation. So
Only the amendment
I'm
is on the
standing
floor.
by my ruling, and I'm asking that the vice chair take a vote on upholding the decision of the chair.
Madam Chair, to be clear, I'm only adding the amendment, not the main motion. I've already said I support the main motion. I am adding an amendment. There's an amendment on the floor. That's what I'm challenging.
My
That it's been
ruling is
ruled
that
out
the
of order.
amendment is out of order.
Okay. So let's take a vote to uphold the decision of the chair. All in support of the chair? And that passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we have a mover and seconder on the motion? Oh, okay. Okay. Is there anything further on the acceptance of the resignation? Then I'm going to call for the vote. All in support. Trustee Chin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since I feel that Trustee Armstrong has a lot of concern, and she resigned, with herself hurtful. So I wonder if the board has done something to investigate or communicate with her to find out the reason, and have done anything to sustain her, to keep her in the board. And because last meeting, obviously, she has something to announce, and was,
I
was not
already
even.
told you, Trustee Chin, I told all the trustees at the beginning of this item that I did reach out to her.
Yeah,
I did. And she confirmed that she
Yeah,
wanted
she confirmed, but there should be a reason, because from what she said, she has something, serious concern with, about our board. And if we don't want, another trustee to resign, did we reflect something in our board and try to improve our board? Not happen, because this is unusual. We have 3 trustees resigned. Thank you.
Thank you. On the motion, all those in support? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. On the agenda is to fill the trustee vacancies. We do have 2 vacancies to fill. One that would involve the area from Ron LeClaire, that's LaSalle and Amherstburg, and the other with regard to Trustee Armstrong's area of Leamington and Pewley Island. So we're open to suggestions. I've communicated to trustees on what our options are. I've recommended that we consider an appointment process like we used last year when we appointed Trustee McCauley, with a similar timeline, because we just happen to be in the same time frame, the exact same dates. Trustee Buckler?
I'm just wondering if any of my colleagues have any people in mind they would suggest and take a shorter route, that we might suggest a name that has the what we need to fit the position. That might be a quicker
I would
route.
suggest to you that a shorter route is exactly a process that would not be transparent, would not be fair to the community, and I would be very disappointed if this board took that route. Trustee Cook?
I would like to put a motion on the floor that we do I'm not going to say it the right way, but that we do it by appointment, and we do it the same way that we did with Trustee McCauley. Yeah, sorry. So that's the way that I think that we should go about it. I think it's the fair way, and it's the fairest to the community.
Do we have a seconder for that motion to do the appointment through the process. Trustee Buckler, would you like me to review the timelines on what we did for that process? So the meeting last year was almost on the same date. I think it was a day off. We put out wide communication throughout the communities of Windsor and Essex County that we are taking applications for the position of trustee. The applications closed on December 10th. And then we gave time for administration through the director's office to vet the applications for qualifications. And then we set dates for interviews, which were, I think, held on, January 18th maybe, and then the first board meeting was the next night, which was January 19th. And those who passed through the application process, who were qualified, were then notified of the interview process, the dates of the interviews, and the date that the successful candidate would start. So when they came to the interviews, they already knew that the first meeting was the next night. So, Trustee McCowie?
Sorry if this is a silly question since I came in through that process. So before we interviewed, like there were more people that were shortlisted based on who did the shortlist? Oh, sorry, no.
No, sorry. Only based on whether they qualified or not. So we interviewed all the applicants that qualified. All qualified applicants were interviewed. Okay? Trustee Burgess?
I understand I think I understand the rationale. I forgot that you, Madam Chair, I forgot that you recommended something. I thought we were just looking at the 3 ways we can do it in the Ed Act. I didn't realize, so please forgive me. So the motion's on the floor to go through a process that resulted in the appointment of Trustee McCowie. I'm not going to support it because I think time is of the essence. And I also look at the vacancies as two and distinct. If another vacancy came forward, I wouldn't say that this is the preferred method. I think you have to look at who vacated the seat and why, and what we're trying to build as far as a fair and transparent. The Ed Act gives us 3 fair and transparent methods. One is not more fair and transparent than the other. It's how we do it. So recently on October 30th, there was a trustee vacancy, a resignation, and another board with the same timelines of the term ending, etc., decided to do it more succinctly. And I would think that since we've had the vacancy since September 15th, September 30th, October 21st, that's a different thing than the one we just received, and we've just made a vacancy. So I would look at the 2 things differently. However, in this instance, I would act similarly. So I think time is of the essence. I would much prefer to see somebody in place that is interested in it, since it's public knowledge that the resignations have happened. People know and have known for quite some time in one case, and that that we do it. So I won't be supporting this particular process. I think it takes too long.
Anyone else on the motion? Well, I'll speak to it. I'm not sure where all of a sudden time is of the essence. There was no urgency 12 months ago. The process went smoothly. It was very open and transparent. The community was allowed the opportunity to apply. And I will remind trustees that we had a number of applications from all over the city and the county. So there was a great deal of interest at the time. There's, in between now and then, there's also a 2-week period where the winter break happens and staff won't be in working on this process. So that can't be helped. But you need to give people time to consider this. You need to give people time to make a proper application. You need to give administration time to go through the applications to ensure that they qualify, and then set up the interviews. I'm of the opinion that we stay calm and rational and transparent about what we're doing. There's no need to rush. We have 8 trustees who are fully capable of representing the entire school board, the city, the county, all the towns that are included in the county. We have that obligation as trustees. We're not just confined to looking after a little geographic portion of our school board. We are all responsible collectively for the entire district. So I don't see that any community is going to suffer at this particular time. I don't think that any community suffered a year ago when we did a successful process. And I just don't think it's fair to the communities that we need to rush into something. I don't understand why. It just doesn't appear to me to be an urgent matter. I'm pretty sure that the 8 trustees are very capable of carrying on for one more board meeting until we appoint someone to these vacancies. It's one more board meeting in December. That's it. And then after that, you'll have the vacancies filled. If we go through the same timelines, I would suggest we do. So if the vacancy is closed on December 10th, and should we have a situation where there's only 2 applicants for the 2 positions, we may even look, let me say that, 2 qualified applicants for the 2 positions. We may at the December 18th, I think it's December 18th meeting, we may decide that we can go ahead and appoint these 2 applicants if they qualify. You don't know until you see who's interested and who applies. So I don't understand any reason to rush this through. I think the other thing is with Bill 33 looming, with the minister, I think, in a position to find reasons to take over boards through supervision. It's the shortest route for him to convince the public that the position of trustees should be abolished. And I think that this gives us time should we need to pivot. I think it's not fair to new trustees coming into the position to be in there for maybe a month and then find out that the positions are gone. I think everyone needs time to absorb what's happening, to look to what the minister's intentions are after this Bill 33 passes. It might have already happened today. But I think that remaining calm and moving forward in a way that's transparent is the best way to serve our community and our board. And I hope that trustees will support the motion. Thank you. Anyone else on the motion? Trustee Chin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You mentioned fairness for the community. I think it's more important. But to my understanding, the most fair to the community is to respect their election result. So once this trustee resigned, go to the next one, which has the most votes. That I think that's more fair for the community, and rather than the school board appoint one based on their interest or like or not. So I think that's the point, fairness. And also regarding the timeline, you said it's not really, urgent to have that. Since the Bill 33, the provincial government is removing the board, the trustees, they think that we are not important. Our role is not so important. So when you say that it's not so urgent, if we have 2 or 3 left, that's fine. We can do that perfectly. So that's proved that the provincial government that we are not doing an important and urgent role to reflect the community's interest. So I do think the time is important. I do think the role of trustee is important. So I support that we fill the vacancy as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's not the motion that's on the floor. The motion is to do the same process that we used a year ago. And there was something else that you mentioned. Oh, the board, not that we can't do it, but the board hasn't typically chosen to go to the runner-up. We didn't do it a year ago. And with these particular vacancies, there were only 2 candidates in both cases. One candidate won and the other candidate lost. And there were no other candidates. So I don't know how you're serving the electorate if they chose one over the other, and then we're going to turn around and appoint the other one. So, but that's not on the floor. It's not on the floor. That's not what we're discussing. I just wanted to respond to your comments. So the motion that's on the floor is that we use the same appointment process that we used a year ago. So anyone else on the motion? No. Then I'm going to call for the vote, and I'm going to go around the room. All those in support of using the appointment process? All those in support? Anybody in support? Anybody in support? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that motion fails. Trustee McKinley?
I move that the board contact the second candidates that ran for public board trustee in the areas of LaSalle-Amherstburg and Leamington-Pelee Island respectively during the 2022 municipal election, and that with their acceptance, should they accept the position, become our appointed trustees to fill the vacancies in LaSalle-Amherstburg and Leamington-Pelee Island. Do I have a second?
On the motion, I would like to point out that a year ago that we had a vacancy, and neither of those people from Leamington, Pelee Island, or LaSalle Amherstburg, neither of them chose to apply for the position. And now we're just going to turn around and and hand it to them. I also think that we're not being fair to the communities by allowing them to have someone from their own community. I think to just appoint someone who happens to live in Windsor to represent LaSalle Amherstburg is not fair. And I just think that's plain wrong. I think the trustees are doing a disservice to our board and to those communities. Trustee McKinley?
Yes, thank you. I put the motion on the floor. I believe it was seconded. I'd like to point out that in the governance book that OPSPA has, the legislation does not set out other criteria. It is up to the board to determine how they will decide to appoint, who to appoint. Different approaches include appointing the candidate who came second in the last election. The candidates, my understanding of the candidates that ran full campaigns in that last election would be quite capable. They did not have to submit their intent during the last search. That was for someone in the city. So that's on them, whether they even knew whether we were searching for a trustee then or not. We can't attest to, or they had the timing. But at this point, I believe that we could vote to choose those two candidates, contact them. If they do not want to accept the position, the appointment, then we may still and will go back to the process we chose last year, because that would be the other option other than a by-election, which I don't think anyone wants to do at this time. And those candidates both received, actually, I did some math, some greater percentages even in losing than some of us at the table received in winning. So, exactly. Well, everything else is, when we speak about living in the, you mentioned living or whatever in the area. I live in Ward 10, but I represent Ward 1, 2, and 9. Trustee McCauley lives, I believe, in Ward 9, and he represents Ward 3, 4, 10. And we knew that when we chose him to represent an area that he did not live in. Because we all know we are, according to that act, we may run in an area that we do not run in, that we do not live in. And that is then up to the voters. And there were plenty of voters that voted for these women. And they're very, I believe, well qualified. Should we vote on this and approve it, to be asked, to be given the consideration of the appointment, and then we can still go back to the application and interview process should they decline. That's, I think, the quickest. Then we would be able to fill our vacant seats in time for December. And there would be 2 SEAC meetings between now and sometime later in January that we would be without another trustee, an alternate, because I don't believe we chose anyone tonight, if I recall. So I'm very much in favor
So,
of at
Trustee
least asking these other
McKinley,
candidates.
you made my point that the 8 trustees at the table are fully capable of representing our whole district school board. So thank you
They're
for
not-
confirming that.
Sorry, but they're not stepping up for SEAC. I
and-
didn't see any hands for SEAC.
And during the earlier meeting with SEAC, you made a point to say that your attendance is perfect and that there was no issues with that. So I'm still not buying into that being an urgent reason
We still need
to
another
offer
one.
to the 2 runners-up that everyone might not even be familiar with. They might not know who they are. They might not know their qualifications. It might not be what the community wants. So anyway, Trustee Cook has been trying to speak.
I just have a couple questions for I have a couple clarification questions through you, Madam Chair. The trustee that just spoke seems pretty certain that these people would love this role. So I'm wondering if you've shared lots of information about them and how good they are. And I mean, that was 3 years ago. I'm just wondering if, through you, Madam Chair, if the trustee had contact with these candidates. And 2, just for clarification, how does the trustee know that they would even want to sit on SEAC without contact with them? Just wondering.
Excuse me, I'll address that.
So,
I'll address it. There are 2
Trustee
immediate
McKinley,
questions.
you want to speak to that then?
I do not know whether they would be accepting or not, but I do believe that this is the quickest way. They're qualified, from what I understand. One of them was a trustee during the last term before I came on. So,
And if they declined, we'd be
if they
setting it
decline,
back
then we
further.
will be, no, then
So,
we can.
so the matter
I
of
can-
urgency is
I
gone
can add an
because
amendment. I can
so-
add an amendment. If
so-
they decline, we will go back to the other process.
Student Trustee
Very
Foster.
easy.
I fundamentally disagree with selecting a second place candidate in an election where there was only two candidates. Right, the area clearly did not elevate them to the position, and there was nobody else for them to beat. Even though it might say that the second place candidate would be a choice, if it's a 2-candidate election, it's. I understand it's an option, but I don't think that it's the best option here.
Thank you. I would agree with you on that. Thank you very much. So anyone else on the, Trustee Burgess?
Thank you. With this new option on the floor, I will again mention that it happened with Avon Maitland and it worked out well, and it was an award that had two. I understand how you're arguing, Madam. I'm speaking through you, Madam Chair, but I know you've been debating it back and forth with each speaker. I would just like to say that when nominations open in a public election every 4 years, everybody has an opportunity to go to the clerk's office and put their name in. If only two go, it's highly unlikely that there's going to be a tie. Somebody will have more votes. An incumbency always carries an advantage unless there's some horrible scandal attached. So it's not unusual that somebody would come second who wasn't an incumbent. And looking at the gaps, and I don't have any comment on qualifications. The qualifications were met at the clerk's office. The qualifications were ratified by thousands of votes cast in those areas. We've never had a criteria, as you mentioned. You just have to be a public education supporter. You don't have to reside in the area. I know in my last election, there was somebody running who did not reside in the area at all, who just merely owned property. So the qualifications are up to a person to prove once they come to the office, not only through an interview process that we think we can maybe see their qualifications. The confidence of electors was placed by taking the time to go find the ballot and put an X beside two people's names who came second. I think since the clerk of their towns said it was okay, they met the qualifications, they're public education supporters. I do know one candidate. Nobody has contacted, to my way of thinking, anybody but anything, but I'm sure that they both are looking at the thing knowing that we have two resignations and vacancies. It's always been an option. Wouldn't that pass their mind? In Avon Maitland, they got the resignation, called a special meeting, and within 4 days. What is the urgency? The urgency is that trustee was able to actually attend a regional meeting and get engaged and get onto OPSPA modules and get some PD, and get some collaboration and be named to committees to find that learning curve so that over maybe a break or whatever, they could dive a little deeper. So whether staff is available, whatever, there's lots of professional development available. And they're not unlike any of us on our inaugural meeting when we were newly elected. I put the trust in the people of those areas who actually voted for those people with thousands of votes.
As chair of the board, I am trying to give you some guidance. I know that other boards right now have vacancies and are using an application process. I know that the application process is taking up about the same amount of days as ours, will end in around January, just like ours. Spoke to the president of OPSPA called me today. We had a discussion about it, and I know there are other boards going through the application process. I know that a year ago, the runner-up expected to be contacted and offered the position, and that didn't happen. This board didn't offer the runner-up the position. We went through a careful, transparent process for the community. If these people, whose names haven't been mentioned, if these people from LaSalle and Amherstburg and Leamington and Pelee Island are interested in this position, they can apply. And by December 10th, we'll know if they're the only applicants. I really urge the trustees to do the right thing here and do a transparent process that we already have precedent for only 12 months ago. Yep, student trustee.
I agree. I don't think that it's particularly fair to appoint two trustees from a pool that existed 3 years ago without considering the possible new and current pool, because 3 years can hold significant change.
Thank you. I agree with you on that too. Cole, again, yes?
If we end up finding that those are the two best candidates, then I feel that we will appoint them. But we should look at the pool as Trustee Rivington said. It's changed over the years. I find that one board meeting is the price I'm willing to pay. Price I'm willing to pay to find the best candidate.
Thank you very much. So, Trustee Chin?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I think the point is that if you choose from the pool, who make the decision? Either it's the community or the board. So a board of us, I'm not sure if the board of us can choose a really good candidate, which is,
But that's kind of funny that we
Yeah,
chose
I
Trustee
think-
McCowie.
Yeah, Trustee McCallie is good. But to be honest, I do think compared with community selection and the board selection, I don't know who can select the better one. So I think it's fair because we just have less than 1 year left, and based on the policy of election, for example, if one candidate, suffers something and withdraw, before the election, still the second candidate can move up and be the one to be approved, regardless if how many votes he got. So I think it's pretty fair to move to the second one to save our resources and our time. So
But again, we didn't do that a year ago. So it was fair now, but not fair then. So I'm just observing what you're telling me. So for the second time, Trustee Cook and then Trustee McKinley, and then we'll call the vote.
I'm just so frustrated because it wasn't 12 months ago that everybody here consented to do the process by application. So now that process isn't good enough, and now we want to change it. We already have, thanks for the sidebars, we already have issues in the community. Let's be transparent. Let's do it the right way. If your people there want to apply, let them apply. If they're the best candidates, then they'll be appointed. But can we not just work together tonight and do it the right way and move on, please? Otherwise, might be more vacancies.
Thank you, Trustee McKinley.
Yes, just for clarification, while the last time we may have gone with one way, the previous time in 2014, I believe it was, when Trustee Lisa Gretzky left for a different position, we filled the spot for 6 months by appointing a former trustee.
We did.
It doesn't matter. It's not a precedent.
Okay.
Through the chair, it is
Okay.
not a precedent.
I
So
don't think that
I didn't
relates
speak
to the
over
motion
her.
on the floor. So I'm going to now call the question.
Madam Chair,
On a
before
point-
you do, I just want to note that I heard a comment with a pointed finger about your people. I don't know what that means, but I think I take offense to that, so let's not go there. Thanks.
Motion is to appoint the runners-up, whoever they are, in the LaSalle, Pelee Island election and the LaSalle Amherstburg election. Pardon? What? That's the motion. To appoint the runners-up, whoever they are, in LaSalle, Amherstburg, and Leamington, Point Pelee Island. Okay, I've said it twice now.
I have a copy for Madame Mullibuff if she needs one.
Okay.
Melissa?
I'm looking for clarification that we are just appointing them, or I believe Trustee McKinley said to contact them.
Contact to appoint them.
Well, to contact them to see if they were interested. Well, I would like that motion in writing, please.
Yes.
She has it already ready, but didn't decide to tell the chair or the director.
I'd like to hear it one more time. You called the vote. Let's hear it one more time. And you can pass
Yes, because it happens to be written out, so sure.
I move that the board contact the second candidates that ran for public board trustee in the areas of LaSalle, Amherstburg, and Leamington, Pelee Island, respectively, during the 2022 municipal election, and that with their acceptance of the position, become our appointed trustees to fill the vacancies in LaSalle, Amherstburg, and Leamington, Pelee Island.
All those in support?
Call the vote.
Or, pardon? Can you amend it? We're voting on it. Okay, that's been
You didn't
defeated, so.
Count the votes.
Yeah, it's 4-4.
Oh, I didn't realize everybody had.
A
put their
point of
hands, 'cause
order.
I didn't see hands.
Yeah. Point of order.
Specifically, which,
I think Trustee McCabe still should give a chance to make amendment.
we're moving on. So currently, we have nothing.
There is another option.
So, all right.
Put a name forward.
So would someone like to put a new motion on the floor? Okay, I'm moving on to reports from board committees.
You have Trustee McCalley.
Trustee,
I'll be quick so we don't spend all day here. As somebody who came in through the process that we used for former trustee Sipkar, I don't support that particular process because I thought it was time consuming. And especially right now with the landscape of governance for school boards, where we don't know if trustees are going to exist in the new year, I find it hard to justify, this is just my opinion, putting in a lot of time only for the position not to exist, which I think we all alluded to in our rationales for whatever motion you supported tonight. I don't know if this is in order because I don't know if it's technically considered too similar to the other motions that were already considered, but either going back to what Trustee Buckler suggested at the beginning, which I really like, and I know other boards have done this, where everybody just puts a name forward and we vote on that, or alternatively, we do what we did for former trustee Sipkar that filled with me, but we scrap the interview process because I don't understand. This is just my opinion again. When we did my appointment, I had questions and then I just answered them verbatim in a public setting, which I thought was repetitive. It's like, what new information did you guys learn? Just my opinion. So I don't have anything on the floor, but I'm just throwing out two ideas. And if you guys would rather just move to take a recess for 3 minutes and then come back, up to you guys, but put a motion on the floor.
we're
Okay.
going to recess until
Oh,
8:15.
I like that.
Thank you. We're back to item N2. And Trustee McCowie?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. I'm going to put the following motion on the floor, and I will provide this in writing to Ms. LaBeouf. I would recommend that the board approve the use of the same trustee appointment process utilized in 2024 to replace outgoing trustee Sarah Sipkar. That consists of a public call for expressions of interest and resumes from eligible electors, a maximum 15-minute timed interview for each candidate that consists of up to 3 standardized interview questions, that the candidates be interviewed at a special board meeting scheduled for Monday, December 15th, and that the new trustees be appointed to office on the regularly scheduled board meeting of December 16th.
I second that.
Sorry, could you just amend it to qualified candidates?
Absolutely, and I'll put that in the wording
you.
from Ms. LaBeouf.
Okay, so seconded by Trustee Cook. Trustee McCowie, did you want to speak further to it?
I came in through a very similar process, so I can appreciate it, and I can recognize that everybody has some concern, regardless of which way you go about it. But I think this is fair. I think it's democratic. I think it gives the people of LaSalle Amherstburg and Peely Leamington the representation that they deserve in a timely manner. We'll have new trustees this time next month, which is good. But it's transparent, it's open, and I think it's the most time efficient process. So yeah, and just in advance, I just want to say a big thank you to staff, because I know this is not an easy undertaking by any means, and it will consume many, many hours. So I do appreciate and thank you for your contribution here.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Okay, on the motion. Okay, no one to speak on the motion, then I'm going to call for the vote. All those in support? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Motion passes. Thank you very much. We have a process. And the administration will now get to work on putting together the package to go out to the community. Thank you very much. And I'm very grateful that we've chosen a transparent approach to doing this. And I did have strong feelings on it, and I did let you know through email and through my comments tonight. So now we're moving to reports from board committees and consideration of recommended motions from the committees. The first standing committee is Policy and Bylaw Committee. There is a report from their meeting of November 4th, as well as 4 recommendations. Trustee McCowie?
Can I just request that we split the policy and bylaw amendments, like for item number 4 for the board governance bylaws, that each one be considered separately?
We don't have a motion on the floor yet.
I'm so sorry. I will move and second it. But
So you're going to move?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Trustee McCowie is moving the recommendations. Trustee Cook is seconding them. And Trustee McCowie is requesting that 4 be separated for voting. Do I have it correctly? Okay. Anyone want to speak on that motion? Oh, okay. Then you have the committee's report, you have the committee's recommendations. So on items 1, 2, and 3, all those in support?
Separating them.
Wanted 4
No,
separated.
no. Oh, sorry, I misunderstood that.
Sorry.
I thought they were all separated.
No,
Excuse me, which
Oh, I
one?
wanted
Which
one
item are you
separate.
talking about?
Sorry, I wanted one separate. I totally misunderstood how he worded that.
Madam Chair,
so
did you ask for any discussion on 1, 2, 3? I think you did, or
I
no?
did.
You did. Okay.
I
thank you.
did. And no one raised their hand? So
Yeah, I want to discuss.
do you have a question on 1, 2, or 3?
Yes.
Okay, your question?
Oh. Where is,
She has a question.
yeah, sorry.
Kim's ready.
Yeah. Thank you. Regarding the trustee protocols for external communications,
What page are you on?
21.
21?
Yeah, 21 and B, trustees may communicate through various means, including individual discussions or with the approval of the chair through media interviews or public speaking engagement at community events. I have a question regarding with the approval of the chair, because I believe this is added. Originally we don't have that, and we do have enough policy to advise that the trustee, like item C, when conveying any personal statements, the trustee should identify it as a personal opinion and not the opinion of the board. I think this is very good, and that's enough for us to speak. When we speak publicly, we just confirm that is representing myself, not representing the board, and it will be helpful for me to speak any considerations and concerns without us scared about, if I got permission from the chair or not. So I do think this group of words with the approval of the chair is not only redundant, it's not doable, because if the chair if you have any different opinions and you ask that I want to speak something with the media, will the chair approve? I don't think so. So it's just another hurdle to prevent the trustees to speak freely and their opinions. So I strongly disapprove with this kind of words here, and I think the item C identify as personal opinion, and also as an item E, any dissension must be respectfully expressed as a personal opinion. That's already enough to discipline the trustees when they speak publicly. But if we want to silence both in the boarding room and outside, that's not good for the accountability of the board, and it's against of the original purpose of how we set trustee as a level in the democracy system. So I don't think it's good to add with the approval of the chair on item B, general communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarification, that's not new. The chair has always been the spokesperson of the board for media interviews and public speaking, and it's always been required that if another trustee is going to take that on, that it's with the approval of the chair. That's not new. So I just wanted to clarify that.
I want to clarify that, previously is with approval of trustee, it's okay, but that represent the board. But trustee as an individual to speak different opinions, that definitely should be allowed. So it's not good to put any hurdle on that and to silence trustees. and even in the public, I don't think it's good. Thank
Trustee
you.
Chin, trustees have always been allowed to speak their own opinion as long as it's in accordance with the trustee code of conduct. So I'm now going to Trustee McKinley.
Okay,
Trustee
if you
McKinley?
if you put this word in with the approval of the chair, then we don't have any right to speak outside anymore. If you read clearly on that.
Trustee McKinley? Okay. Trustee McCowie?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. I think the chair already kind of touched on this, but I think it's helpful to remember, Trustee Jean, that as Trustee Hatfield already noted, the official spokesperson for the board has always been the chair. Really, and this is just my opinion here. Just 1 second. Yeah.
Okay.
This is just my opinion here, but really, I don't really think any of us should be speaking to the media about the board's official stance on anything, unless it's someone from the director's office, from the media team, or from the chair herself. So I just wanted to say that I don't think that the policy silences anyone by any means, because by definition, the only person who should be speaking on behalf of the board is the chair. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just want to be clear. There's no silencing. But
We're not debating this.
Oh, no, thank you.
No, I'm going on
I want to clarify. I'm not saying that, officially represent the board. You misunderstood me and you make wrong, statement. I'm representing myself. It's totally different. Here, it didn't say that represent the board. It's just, meaning through media interview and public speaking engagements at community events. It didn't mean represent officially the board or the trustee itself. So you misunderstood and misinterpreted. Thank you.
I would be hesitant to ever take that line out of our policy, as it does allow for some some thought before you ever open your mouth as to whether or not you should be speaking, because that's in our policy that with the approval of the chair. So you will always think before you speak to anybody that you need the chair's approval, and I would hesitate to ever remove that. She is the spokesperson, and any chair elected would be.
Oh, thank you. This is for the public. No.
Not debating. Trustee Burgess?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. So on policy, I brought forward an amendment, and it wasn't successful, but I will bring it forward here, and I did let everybody on policy know that I would. And there is something akin to what Trustee Chin is saying, but the rationale is completely different. And so I want to start by saying what the amendment is, and to read what I think the line in page 21 in our package, and under general communication B. And anybody who's got the policy thing, it was on page 12 there. So my understanding is this is new, not the intent, sorry. I want to recognize the good amendments made on page 21 that's before us about trustees and community members and representatives from the media, and that the chair of the board will act as spokesperson to the public on behalf of the board of trustees unless otherwise determined by the board of trustees. And that has happened. Sometimes the chair is in conflict with something, and they need to have, we as a board amongst ourselves choose who the spokesperson on any particular matter would be. There's always reasons, they're legitimate reasons for having somebody other than the chair, but that's up to the board to decide and collectively move on. Under general communications, what's struck, I think should be struck, that's the B. The new B says trustees may communicate through various means, comma, including individual discussions or, comma, with the approval of the chair, comma, through media interviews or public speaking engagement at community events. Such communications should support the board's mission, vision, and strategic priorities. I would like to put forward an amendment to strike the words "with the approval of the chair" and substitute the words after the words and individual discussions or, comma, substitute the words so that the
section says, trustees may communicate through various means, including individual discussions or, comma, with prior discussion with the chairperson of the board or their designate, comma, through media interviews or public speaking engagements at community events. Such communications should support the board's mission, vision, and strategic priorities. And I would speak to that amendment if I have support for it. My rationale is that there are sometimes motions that are not resolved yet. They're a notice of motion. There's something that isn't upholding a decision of the board. It's a discussion point. So the chair can just only at that point say, well, it's under discussion. We haven't really ratified anything. I can give him my personal opinion on something. But if somebody comes to a trustee and asks for a media interview, if they give prior discussion to the chairperson, say, you know what, CBC called me and they want to know what I feel about Bill 33. Well, the board has a stance on Bill 33. The chairperson gives it. I have a dissenting thing. We haven't moved on it. I'm making this up. It doesn't matter. It's moot. Going to be done. Anyway, if it's something that hasn't been resolved, then that individual trustee should be able to call the chairperson, or if they're not available or can't give advice on it because of a conflict of interest or whatever reason, they're designate. And then we have the trustee of the month. You got a pecking order. So you just don't do it without prior discussion. It's not approval because there isn't anything approved. It's something that is unresolved. There's a possibility of a resolution going forward. You should be able to publicly say, no, I do support, raising this flag, or I do support whatever's before the board that hasn't been resolved. Once the board makes a decision, the Education Act kicks in and says you must uphold the decision of the board. And at any time, communications should support the board's mission, vision, and strategic priorities, because that's a collective decision of the board. But an individual opinion, if you want to have a media interview or public speaking engagement at a community event, you should be able to go with a prior discussion with the chairperson of the board before you go to that Rotary lunch, whatever. And state clearly that it's your individual opinion, and whether it's something that's in flux or it's a resolution. Thank you. I hope I get support for that amendment. I will repeat, strike the with the approval of the chair and substitute after the word discussions or with prior discussion with the chairperson of the board or their designate. So there's a safeguard there, and if the chair says, no, that's inappropriate, and I'm going to let know, and you let us know that I have had a chat with Trustee Burgess, and I've let her know that I feel very strongly she shouldn't be speaking on that particular podcast, whatever, blah, 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 and I go forward, then I am open to censure from my peers. Thank you.
So just to clarify, so I'm reading the report from the policy committee, and I'm trying to understand that was defeated at the policy level, and I'm trying to understand because it says clearly on C that when conveying any personal statements, doesn't say where you're conveying them to, whether it's the media or whatever, the trustee should identify it as a personal opinion and not the opinion of the board. And I think, and maybe the policy committee members can clarify what they were thinking at that meeting, but what we're talking about in B is speaking as an official representative of the board in media interviews or public speaking engagements as a representative of the board. So
that is not what I read under general communications.
That's why I'm asking the policy committee.
So I'm on the
members.
policy committee, and when I spoke to it and put the motion forward, under general communications, A, as ambassadors of education, trustees should endeavor to promote and instill confidence. And that amendment is N, the Greater Essex County District School Board. I approve of that. I support that. And B, the brand new addition to this section, brand new, coming forward to policy, was to add that whole clause. Trustees may communicate through various means, including individual discussions, or, and I would say strike with the approval of the chair, with prior discussion with the chairperson or their designate, through media interviews. They may, it says right there, trustees may communicate through media interviews. Clearly, the next one, C, when conveying anything, trustees should identify it as a personal opinion and not the opinion of the board. That follows. But they may do this. We're not changing that part. Or public speaking engagements at community events. Again, with prior notice and discussion with the chair or their designate.
Okay.
So everybody knows.
So
Everybody knows the parameters, how they have to keep within the parameters.
someone second that? No. So we have a motion to amend section B, just so I get this straight. So we have a motion from trustee Burgess and we had a seconder, trustee McKinley, to say that trustees may communicate through various means, including individual discussions or with prior discussion with the chairperson through media interviews or public speaking engagements at community events. Do I have that correct? Okay, on the amendment, I think I had, okay, on the amendment, all those in support of the amendment? With 3. Okay, that motion's defeated. So, we're,
I have a motion amendment. I have an amendment.
okay, which item?
This one, same.
Okay,
Yeah. Good night.
what page?
Oh, the same one, same page.
Okay,
Yeah.
your,
Yeah,
your amendment?
page 21, item B. And since we have misunderstandings regarding this paragraph, the chair just mentioned that she thought that this paragraph is for the representing the board for the media interviews. So I think we should put it back to the committee to reconsider this paragraph and to remove the misunderstandings. And definitely, this paragraph didn't say that representing the board. They just say that must have approval from the chair whenever you speak to the media. That's not correct.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the, the
so-
amendment is
Yeah,
to,
I would like to move amendment to refer it back
No.
to the committee to reword this paragraph to remove the misunderstanding.
okay, do we have support for the amendment to refer this back to the committee? Refer it back to the committee? No. Okay, sorry. Okay, anything else on items 1, 2, or 3? No? Okay, then
He
can we, no, on items
No, I was
1,
just going
2,
to
3?
request that you call the vote.
Right, so items 1, 2, or 3, 1, 2, and 3, all those in support of the committee's recommendations, that's carried, thank you very much. Now on item 4. On item 4, trustee McCowie?
Thank you. I just have a question for clarification. Section 3.5.1, OPSPA director and OPSPA voting delegate and alternate in an inaugural year. My question, and then depending on the answer, I might have an amendment, is are we going with the same practice where the director and the voting delegate were the same person? Like, I know that's what we did with me, but I know not all boards do that.
I think that's a choice of the board, and the reason why at an inaugural year we would have to redo it is because the appointment comes in April, but then if you have an election and those people change, then in an inaugural year you've got to do it again. Because those trustees might not run for re-election or might not get re-elected, so you have to reconsider it in an inaugural year.
I guess my only recommendation would be, if you guys agree, being in the role now, I think it just makes sense to stick with the director and the voting delegate is the same person. Like I would just amend it so that it's actually codified in our bylaws that when we elect a trustee into the role to OPSPA, that there being sorry?
That would be a change to the bylaw. So that doesn't mean that you can't
No,
vote
I
the
know.
same,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
it's,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
irrelevant.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on number 4? Trustee McKinley, then Trustee Burgess.
Yeah, before we vote on number 4, I'd like them separated for voting.
Which?
Yeah. Or at least number 1 from the rest.
Anything else? Oh, Trustee Burgess, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have had some discussion about this, and I think that it's there's an opportunity here for misunderstanding. So I'm hoping I'm making myself clear. It's an amendment on Section 233, the duties of the Vice Chair. Presently, the amendment before us, requiring 2/3 of for a bylaw amendment to pass, we have here is to add to the duties of the Vice Chair to be a member of Policy and Bylaw Committee. We changed our bylaws dramatically last year, and our committee work in this inaugural year has been eye-opening. And so I would suggest that we amend that amendment to say, instead of member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee as a straight duty, to be an ex officio voting member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee when the chairperson of the board is unable to attend or vote at the Policy and Bylaw Committee. So the amendment would add the words "an ex officio voting" prior to the word "member" of the Policy and Bylaw Committee, which is in red in our package, and adding the words "when the chairperson of the board is unable to attend or vote at the Policy and Bylaw Committee." And I would speak to it, please, Madam Chair.
That's quite different from
It
adding,
isn't. It's under the duties of the Vice Chair, making an ex officio.
This is adding that the Vice Chair be a member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee. Your amendment would change it to a totally different role. So I'm going to rule that it's out of order.
Okay, I would appeal your ruling then, because I would give the reasoning why, because it is directly about the duties of the Vice Chair.
I will speak to it as well. So the Policy Committee is recommending that the duties of the Vice Chair simply be amended to add be a member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee, changing it to an ex officio role with voting or non-voting rights, or replacing the chair or not replacing the chair. That's, to me, a separate type of change to the duties. So either you want this, or by notice of motion, according to our bylaws, if this is defeated, or even if it's passed, a notice of motion can also be brought about adding to the duties of Vice Chair as an ex officio member of a standing committee. So I think they're two different things, so I don't think it's appropriate as an amendment.
And so my appeal for the reasoning, because I haven't given it really, I've only given the proposed amendment that you found out of order. The appeal would be because the thing before us is a member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee. The duties of the Vice Chair. The Vice Chair can change from year to year to year to year, which means that if the Vice Chair changes every year, a new member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee becomes a member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee. Every other member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee is appointed for a 2-year term. For example, Madam Chair, if I could use the present situation, Trustee Buckler is a member in good standing at the Policy and Bylaw Committee. If my amendment came into effect, that should Vice Chair, duties of the Vice Chair Nelson want to attend the meeting, more than welcome, could be acknowledged by the chair of Policy and Bylaw Committee. And should you, Madam Chair, because of a conflict of interest or inability to vote or attend on any matter, Vice Chair Nelson would carry a vote. By having this amendment stand as it is, that is written in red there, we have a possibility of having a different vice chair every year and 2 executive ex officio votes. By their nature of their title, by the title of vice chair of the board, they are a member and then get a vote. The chair of the board, by ex officio, by their title, can attend any committee of the board and carry a vote. So you're tilting the member of the Policy and Bylaw Committee with possibility of 2 extra votes, which doesn't exist at any other committee.
Be clear.
So this
my
is a
ruling
fairness.
Is not on.
It's about the duties of the vice
amendment,
chair.
whether it's a good idea or not a good idea, or whether it works or it doesn't work. My ruling is not on that. I'm not debating the merits. I'm making a ruling on whether the amendment is in order to this recommendation of the policy committee. And I'm ruling that it's not in order because it takes it beyond what has been recommended by the committee. So that's my ruling. And now, Trustee Nelson, you can take the vote.
Okay, all those in favor to uphold the decision of the chair, which is that this amendment is not in order. All in support?
Madam, are you not the vice chair and are you not voting on whether you are a member of the policy? Is that not unusual? No? Okay.
So all in favor to uphold the decision of the chair.
Excuse me.
Okay, that
Excuse me.
passes.
Back to item number 4. Any other items on number 4? Trustee McKinley?
Yes, I'd like to speak to section 2.3.3. And I don't believe that the vice chair, whomever that will be, has to be on the Policy and Bylaw Committee. If they want to be on the Policy and Bylaw Committee, by all means, they can submit their name like the rest of us to be on that committee. Currently, that committee's already been chosen. And I've sat on the Policy Committee for more years than I can remember. I've even sat on policy when I wasn't officially on policy. So at no time, we've often had policy meetings where the chair and the vice chair were not a part of the policy committee. And I do believe that the work of the policy committee without either of those persons mandated to be on it, the work still went ahead. We have the director and executive, we have SOs that come and speak to the policies that are going to be coming before the board after they go through policy. So I don't believe it's mandatory to insist that the chair, the vice chair, sit on the policy committee if that's not their choice.
Okay,
So I
I'm
won't
going
be
to call for
supporting
the votes. So we're going to first vote. Sorry, somebody, did I miss someone? Trustee Buckler, sorry.
I'm going to say the same thing I said in the policy committee. And it's not personal. It is positional. It is positional. As this came in, and it came in for my first shot at vice chair, and I don't like policy. I would never sign up for policy. I'm not a fan. And I was told policy committee is something I would really prefer you be on. It's really something important for a vice chair to take on. It's important for the vice chair to take on. It really is, because you learn so much more. You learn things you never would learn just in a board meeting or sitting anywhere else. It's important. I think it needs to be in there. I think every vice chair needs that experience. I think it's just one of the better things I've ever seen come out of a policy, This is one thing a vice chair should absolutely do. I think when we're selecting people to sit in that seat, they should have the knowledge and the experience to be there. That they need to know the things they can learn in a policy committee meeting. They need to know the things they learn sitting next to the chair and the director. It's important. I think that if you take that away or even consider taking that away, you're doing an injustice to the position.
Thank you. We're going to vote now on section 2.3.3. All
And
those
how many is 2/3 with 8? 5?
5.
Thank
All
you.
those in support? 2.3.3. In support? We're voting. We're voting. No, anybody voting? All those in support of 2.3.3? Yes, as it stands, as printed. Okay, so nobody has. It's not been amended. I'm calling the vote on 2.3.3. All those in support? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion carries. Section 3.2.1. That's housekeeping. All those in support? That carries. Section 3.5.1.
Sorry, point of order.
Pardon?
2/3 is required. Yeah, wouldn't that be 6 out of 8? It rounds up.
Oh, so, okay, let's go back. 2.3.3. All those in support? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's defeated. Okay. 3.2.1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's carried. Section 3.5.1. That's housekeeping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's carried. Section 5.16.2. That's the agenda order. All those in support? That's carried. Pardon?
Section 5162. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering because of many years, whether the student trustee report would be better earlier in the meeting when after it's called to order and get down to F, declaration of conflict of interest, before we possibly, not always, convene into committee of the whole or rise and report from the committee of the whole. Often there's a delegation with student of the month or somebody else that is coming, and they have to wait until we conclude our business and rise and report out of committee of the whole. And I'm wondering if I could amend this and put the student trustee report, move the student trustee report up to, move the approval of the minutes up to be the new G, and move the student trustee report to be the new H, followed by what is now G to be I and J.
Sorry, but that's very,
Okay.
I've lost you. Can you not just move student trustee report up to follow F, declaration of conflict of interest?
Yes, we could. Yes, we could. I just
J,
then just
trustee
keep the
report?
approval of the minutes afterwards. That's fine.
And then we move into
Business of the
session, do
board
approval
that
of minutes and
isn't
everything else.
Yes, and that's just to
Do
allow
I have
the
a seconder
delegations.
to move that, Trustee McCowie? Okay. All those in support of the amendment? That's carried. Thank you. On the main motion on 5.16.2 as amended. All those in support? That's carried. Thank you. Section 6.3.6. Anyone want to speak? Trustee Burgess?
Just a point of clarification, because this has come forward at the policy committee several times from several people, and you, Madam Chair, have responded, etc. But requests, and this is about requests from to speak to something on the agenda. Requests must be received, and the change is by noon Friday. But requests to we're talking about to speak, that can. Those requests, that's the deadline. Somebody could send in a request to speak to something
the month before, because most of our meetings are a month apart.
These are delegations to standing committees.
Right. So delegations to the standing committees need not worry about a pressing deadline of receiving an agenda item within a very short time and taking their Wednesday and Thursday and panicking to get it in by Friday. They may actually have something they want to speak to for the entire month, and they can put that request to speak as a delegation 3 weeks before the meeting. This is just the final deadline, noon at Friday. Am I getting that right? Okay, because we have had that, and I don't know if we've made that point clear enough at policy, because it has come up several times. So I support this amendment the way it is. Thank you.
And just to clarify, this is to take away the deadline from being a Sunday. Okay? All those in support? That's carried. Thank you. There's no report from Finance and Facility Services Committee. No report from Learning, Equity, and Wellbeing Committee. What did I forget? Sorry.
I'm just wondering if we can put regular standing committee meeting, a regular standing committee meeting.
Oh.
In, yes, sorry.
Yes. Do I have consensus that we include that language? It's meant to be a regular standing committee meeting. Okay? If consensus for that. It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask question?
On what?
Oh, on this one.
On what?
636. Section 636.
We've already passed it. We're now on the audit committee report.
We talked about this and this. Now
Okay. We're on the audit committee report from November 17th. Recommendations from that committee, and I'll present them as chair of that committee, that the audited consolidated financial statements of the GECDSB for the year ended August 31st, 2025 be approved as presented. They're in your package, the audited statements, as well as that the following individuals be reappointed as external members of the audit committee for the term January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2028. That's Drake, Reed, and Paul Mancini. You met them all tonight. So all those in support of the audit committee recommendations? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. SEAC has submitted some minutes, page 91 to 94. Any questions on the Special Education Advisory Committee minutes? I just have one thing, and I think I asked this before, is if minutes from these committees could include the names under attendance, because I don't know who's on these committees. And I think I asked that previously, that the minutes should include the names of the members that are in attendance and also who gives regrets. Okay, is that okay? Okay, Trustee Burgess?
On the next item, C. On the next item, C, I have my hand up.
On GECPIC? Yeah. So on GECPIC, that was my attendance thing as well. Yes, okay. Trustee McKinley?
Yeah, as the outgoing trustee on GECPIC, I just wanted to bring up that we did have our first meeting for this year, and the chair of GECPIC this year is Bridget Photo. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And the vice chair is Deepa Chawla.
Trustee Burgess?
So as the new member on GECPIC, I want to say that I've been involved with before GECPIC and School Council Chair Network, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I follow the minutes. I find these minutes hard, so I'm hoping that the template that goes forward does have clear whose attendance. I noticed that there was a lot of no quorum in this last year. So I see that joining GECPIC, one of the first things that we can hope to achieve is not only better attendance, but better engagement. The irony is not lost that the Parent Involvement Committee has not had quorum. We need to encourage parental engagement. So I know that in the next meeting, I'm hoping, and I don't know, I asked just cursorily whether there was a hybrid opportunity to attend. But I sincerely believe that for accessibility and for everything else, during the winter months especially, and I understand they're not monthly meetings anymore, but I highly suggest that just like we did during, pandemic years and whatever, we have a hybrid model for attendance. Because some people, their barrier to attend the meeting is they can't get out of the house. They have other commitments, whatever. They can't make that commitment. So I now that the board is mandating us to put together a student and family support office, I believe the advisory capacity of GECPIC should be maximized. And in these next few months, prior to March 31st deadline of presenting Greater Essex's report of what we see as the Student and Family Support Office to come in effect next year, if we're still around, that the GECPIC has a really important piece to play there. And I would hope Student Senate also has an opportunity to discuss what the Student and Family Support Offices should look at and advise the board. So I note the reports. I'm going to ask for a few blanks to be filled in before I attend my first pick, and I hope that it's a hybrid model.
Thank you. And I don't want trustees to think that administration hasn't been trying to encourage engagement through
I
GECPIC.
never mentioned that.
No, I just want to make sure that no one interprets it that way. Okay. 3, 4, I don't have anything. P1, our OPSPA director.
It's me. Okay, I'll start with some important dates, then I'll get into the updates. The first one is that we have a Board of Directors meeting on Sunday, November 23rd. If anybody has any questions or anything like that they would like to ask of Executive Council, please let me know. And the Public Education Symposium is January 23rd and 24th in Toronto, and it invites trustees, SOs, directors of education to attend. It is the largest annual governance and professional learning event for trustees, and it'll be just a good experience to network with everybody engaged. We did have a regional Western meeting on November 1st, to which I provided you all with an update via email. And then just some general updates, as the chair already alluded to. On November 13th, the minister announced, in alignment with PPM 170, which is school board communication with parents, that all boards are required to establish student and family support offices. Not a lot of information is known at the moment, but a report's required to be submitted by March 31st to the minister, explaining how boards plan on implementing said offices. Excited to announce that one of our partner organizations, the Ontario Veterinary Medical Association, announced a $1,000 bursary for 4 students, for eligible high school students who identify as Indigenous, persons with disabilities, or members of the visible minority groups, and or immigrants to Canada. And I will share that information with the student trustees if they want to pass that along to Senate. The Ontario government has obtained a 1-year extension of the federal Canada-wide early learning and child care system. That extension guarantees access to the program until the 31st of December 2026 at an average of $19 a day and a maximum of $22 per day. On October 10th, the Government of Ontario announced an additional investment into student nutrition programs, bringing the annual investment up to $32 million. OPSPA welcomes that additional investment to strengthen program delivery and expand access to fresh, locally sourced foods, and we applaud the ministry for that. And now, in Bill 33 news. So as you all know, OPSPA has formally launched a province-wide campaign titled Help Keep Education Close to Home. The campaign aims to strengthen public awareness of the role of school board trustees and advocate for the protection of local democracy. The campaign emphasizes the value of publicly elected trustees, the importance of transparent, community-responsive governance, and the risk posed by expanded provincial control. Community members can learn more and sign the petition at democracyisnotoutdated.ca. As you know, Bill 33, Supporting Children and Students Act, received a time allocation, which essentially fast-tracks it through the legislative process. The act is moving towards third reading, and actually, as of earlier today, it is moving forward to a vote tomorrow, Wednesday, November 19th. OPSPA issued a strong public statement on November 7th, expressing deep concern about the elimination of committee hearings, expanded ministerial oversight and centralization of decision-making, the erosion of democratically elected trustees, the displacement of First Nations trustees and student trustees under supervision, the cumulative pattern of diminished local voice in publicly funded education governance. A significant number of stakeholders and our partners have expressed opposition or concern with respect to Bill 33, including OPSPA, the Ontario Human Rights Commission, Ontario Autism Coalition, the Student Trustees Association, OSTA-ACO, Ontario Teachers Federation and affiliates, including OSSTF District 9 and ETFO Greater Essex, the Ontario Principals Council, CUPE, OSBCU, OCTA, and then multiple undergraduate student unions and numerous members of provincial parliament. As critics across the province have already explained, Bill 33 is a hostile takeover of public education governance. It heightens centralization and it increases the use of ministry-appointed supervisors with documented negative impacts on boards and their families. OPSPA continues to assert that democracy is not outdated and that elected trustees remain the only direct, local, accountable voice communities have in the public education system. Given that the accelerated passage of Bill 33 without public hearings, widespread concern from OPSPA, partner associations, students, families, labor partners, and governance experts, the demonstrated impact on local democracy and board autonomy, and the emergence of new directives like the Student and Family Support Offices, I'm seeking by consensus support from my colleagues to draft and send a formal letter from the Board of Trustees to the Minister of Education expressing our explicit opposition to Bill 33, publicly affirming the importance of local governance, community voice, and trustee authority. And yes, I recognize that by the time this reaches the minister's office, the legislation may have very well already passed and received royal assent. But to be frank, it is a threat to local democracy and public education. And we're all, thankfully, in a position of elected office with the ability to advocate for meaningful change for the broader community, to safeguard local democracy and ensure that student interests remain at the forefront of every decision that we make. And it's my belief that we should use that opportunity to its fullest potential. Further, this aligns with OPSPA's public position along with our partners and reflects our collective responsibility to advocate for democratic accountability, local voice in education governance, and transparency. I'd suggest that the draft letter would be prepared, and I can share that with you, or I can read it verbatim right now if anyone would like to. But I would further ask that in addition to sending the letter to the minister, that we would carbon copy the local Windsor-Essex MPPs, OPSPA, OSTA-ACO, and the local ETFO and OSSTF organizations.
So you have a letter drafted for us?
I do. I can read it or send it by email up to
Is it similar in nature to what the other boards have been?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Trustee Burgess?
Thanks. I have a question. I absolutely, by consensus, agree that a letter should be sent, and it again is not lost that it's going to be after the fact. But my question is directly through you, Madam Chair, to our OPSA delegate, who's also the OSTA-ACO liaison person, right? Yeah. How OSTA-ACO members from the boards under supervision, so in the public, English Public Board, that would be Thames Valley, Ottawa, Carleton, Toronto Board, how are those student trustees being supported? They're not supported financially, they're not given any support. So how do student trustees across the province carry the load, just as at OPSPA Board of Directors bring forward the concerns of Ottawa, Carleton, Toronto District Board, Thames Valley? Because the voices should not be silenced. The fact that the minister and the supervisor has removed all funding and removed the voices, I want to know how our member is, what they're doing as liaison for OSTA-ACO, if it's in the letter, because I think it needs to be explicit in the letter, and also for the Indigenous trustees, the Indigenous student trustees. There are Indigenous student trustees at Thames Valley, at Ottawa Carleton. The fact that any government should remove sovereign nations' individual choices for publicly educated students is outrageous. Who is speaking on behalf of the Indigenous trustees and the Indigenous board members who on boards that have reciprocal education agreements like Thames Valley, like Ottawa Carleton, like Toronto Board?
Can we get the response from Trustee McCowie first?
Thank you, Trustee Burgess, for the question. I'll answer it very quickly, and then I'd actually defer to our student trustees, particularly student trustee Rivington, who actually sits on the OPSPA ACO liaison committee with me. I think in short, the answer is that they don't. Under supervision, student trustees lose access to the board just like any other elected trustee. From what I know from Thames Valley, for example, because when this was a discussion item at our regional council meeting, is that they still are given the opportunity to run their student senates, and student trustees at Thames Valley, I believe, moved to amend their own governing documents to include standing committees, which they had said safeguarded them from supervision because the work still got to be done. I think they had a student mental health and well-being committee that still gets to work even though they're under supervision. So the work isn't necessarily lost, but you're right, there is a very real and valid concern about that voice not being elevated to the board. But I refer to student trustee Rivington or Foster.
And not to lose the Indigenous trustees and Indigenous members.
Trustee Rivington, go ahead. Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, so student trustees are actually really taking a lot of action right now. There's something to take a look at called the Student Voices in Action Initiative. It's a project run by and supported by student trustees and Indigenous student trustees across the province. I believe it was started by student trustee Anna Fasson from the Toronto District School Board. They've highlighted today actually as Student Day of Action in reference to Bill 33. I encourage everyone to take a look at them via social media and support their advocacy.
That name again,
Thank
one
you.
more time?
The Student Voices in Action Initiative, and I can pull up their Instagram username right now. Don't worry, I've got it. The Instagram username is SVA Ontario, if you'd like to take a look at that.
Yeah, so from what I've seen and when I'm talking to the current student trustees that are under supervision, they've been basically muted. The supervisors won't listen to them. They aren't allowed to attend conferences to have their voices heard. Any committees that they sit on at OSTA or any leadership positions they hold, they have essentially been removed from. For example, our vice president for the Catholic board was unable to attend this conference. So there's truly nothing they can do. They've essentially been muted.
Through you, Madam Chair, just to find point of it, they've been muted, but they aren't disallowed from attending. I would think that it's just they're not funded. So it's a matter of, is there any funding from diocese or from other member boards to chip in or whatever to make sure somebody can go?
They are not allowed to go, as they are not allowed to represent their board. So when the supervisors come in, they are essentially null and void. They are not allowed to represent their board as student trustees at any sort of public conference or convention.
Yeah. So we had, like Cole said, the vice president for Catholic Education, Ruben de Silveira, he was not able to attend the conference, and so his vice chair associate, Jace Crisco, had to run all of his sessions on a last minute notification because no student trustees were notified that the trustees under supervision wouldn't be attending. And as someone, I am the public vice chair associate. If the vice president for public were to be last minute put under supervision and not able to come, then I would have to run all the sessions on my own. And it's just, yeah, that's a good word for it.
Trustee Chin, did you have a question about the OPSPA report?
Oh, yes. The report mentioned the OPSPA's 2026 Public Education Symposium in January. I wonder if is it possible to encourage trustees to attend the conference for training purposes?
You can attend as long as you pay your own expenses.
So that's why I'm...
You can attend at your own expense. There's no funding from the board. Okay?
That's right. It was in the board budget.
Okay. And on the OPSPA report, Trustee McCowie.
I just want to make sure, we have consensus for the letter. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Thanks. Okay.
To also mention in my conversation today with Kathleen, the one thing that she did want to talk to me about was how the OPSPA board is trying to pivot very quickly to a new governing model. And we had a conversation about that. So that's something that's going to be discussed big time on Sunday. And they're trying to get that arranged very quickly. And as she put it, so that the organization could still be relevant after whatever may happen in our near future. Okay. Okay, thank you for the report. Now we're down to timed item announcements. Do we have announcements? I see our cereal challenge is going well, and I'm trying to scoop that box right in front of me, that cranberry, whatever it is. So announcements. Trustee McKinley?
You already mentioned it. The cereal box challenge actually at the 6 schools winds up at the end of this week, and it continues at the board office until December 1st. And that makes my trustee heart very happy to see the board office building participating, and I know the difference that it makes.
Okay, any other announcements? Trustee Burgess?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I want to announce this because it did find some media, but it wasn't really picked up widely. We, in order to build new schools, to find efficiencies, et cetera, often, as we do now, have 2 properties for sale. And I'd like to make the announcement that sometimes we don't know what happens to our surplus properties once we dispose of them. And the announcement was that the former Harrow High School has been slated for redevelopment. We sold it. It laid vacant and crumbling, and it has been sold to Horizon Investment Holdings, which will see the property developed into 160 mixed housing units. I want to also say that the town of Harrow, or Essex, was able to keep a lot of the green space and to keep the covenant with the Harrow Fair Board, the Agricultural Board, which is the biggest event that happens in Harrow annually. So while it was a very sad thing that happened, to the folks in Harrow in 2016, they are getting affordable, attainable, and geothermal eco housing, maintaining their green space, and the Harrow Fair should benefit. Thanks.
Are there any other announcements? Seeing none, we've reached the end of our approved agenda, so at 9:24, I will declare the meeting adjourned and thank everybody for their time. Thank you.